You are not being lied to. That would actually be easier. See, lies can be found, exposed, corrected. What's actually happening right now is something completely different, something more precise. You are actually being curated, and here's what makes this different from everything else that actually came before. There's no one doing it, no committee, no room full of people deciding your reality, no villain to expose, just a system running quietly, which is actually learning you. And it's been doing it since the first morning you reached for your phone, before you actually got out of bed. You wake up, you check for your phone, the world arrives instantly, effortlessly, personally, and it just feels like access. But here's what nobody tells you about that feeling: it's actually not access, it is a mirror. Showing you a version of the world that was built to look exactly like what you already believe. The news that confirms your suspicions, the opinions that match your tribe, the stories that make your side look right, all of it arriving as if the world itself agrees with you. You didn't build this version of reality, you trained it. One click, one reaction, one moment of outrage or approval every single day for years. And the system just got very good at giving you exactly what keeps you here. To understand what's actually happening right now, you need to understand something about power that history keeps trying to teach us. Every system that used visible force to control thought eventually collapsed. Not because the force ran out, but because force has a fatal flaw: it creates awareness. The moment people can see their cage, the cage becomes a cause, the oppressor becomes the target, the controlled becomes the resistance. So, the question that every power structure eventually faces is this: how do you maintain control without ever letting people feel it? The answer actually took a long time to find, and when it finally arrived, it didn't come from a government, it came from the Silicon Valley. And the goal of this agenda was not to, oppress people, but to actually sell them advertisements, and that is what makes it so complete. Stop. You don't experience reality. You haven't, not directly, not clearly in a very long time. What reaches you is a selection. Every day, 10 million things happen in the world: discoveries, death, decisions, wars, movements, failures. You see about 40 of them. Something chose which 40. Not based on importance, not based on truth, not based on what you need to know, based on one question only: what will make this person stay? Because your attention that you give out freely, casually, without thinking, is not just being captured, it is actually being sold. Not to you, off you, to anyone willing to pay for access to your focus. Advertisers, politicians, governments, movements, all of them bidding for the contents of your mind. And here's the economic logic that makes the system not just possible but absolutely inevitable: the content that holds attention longest is not the most accurate content, it's not the most emotionally efficient. The fastest path from information to reaction is outrage, fear, certainty, tribal belonging. These go on to generate more engagement than actual nuances, more than complexity, more than truth. So, the system, following pure economic logic, no conspiracy required, no malicious intent necessary, systematically selects for content that makes you reactive, not informed. Reactive, and those, ladies and gentlemen, are not the two same outcome. Stop here. What I'm about to say might sound wrong, so sit with it for a minute. No one is controlling what you see, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the exact reason why it is actually working. There is no conspiracy, no agenda, no room full of executives actually deciding what you believe. The algorithm has no politics, no ideology, no preference for what you actually think. It only has one variable, just one: how long will this keep you watching? And that single agenda free, perfectly neutral variable makes this one of the most powerful, influential systems that was ever constructed. Because propaganda has a face, an agenda can be exposed, a sensor leaves fingerprint. But a system that actually optimizes for your attention leaves nothing. No author, no intent, no crime, just math. Math that discovered at global scale through pure optimization, that the content keeping people most engaged is the content that makes them afraid, certain, divided, unable to look away. Radicalization is not a bug, it is what maximum engagement looks like at the edges. But here is where it gets deeper than anyone actually explains. The algorithm doesn't just show you what you want, over time, it decides what you want. Every time you react, the system records it. Every time you say, the system learns. Every time you actually share, the system confirms. And then it gives you more of it. More of what triggered you. More of what held you. More of what felt genuinely true. Until the content that once sounded very extreme or seemed very extreme starts to feel reasonable or reasonable. Then the obvious, and then that's the only honest perspectives that is actually left for you to pick up. You didn't move toward it, it moved the center toward you. Gradually, invisibly, patiently. The content that once made you uncomfortable now feels like common sense. The people who actually disagreed with you now seemed like they're just wrong. And you start to see them as dangerous people. And you experience every step of that shift and growth as waking up, as finally seeing clearly. That feeling of being more certain than you've ever been is actually not clarity, it is the system telling you it's working and it's complete. Here's the part that actually took me the longest to accept. The people who are building these systems know exactly what they do. The research exists, the internal studies exist, the engineers who quit because of what they saw, they exist, and the system still keeps running. Not because the people running them are evil, but because the people who are actually running them are also a part of the system. Their feeds are curated too. Their beliefs were also formed by what they were shown. Their certainty also feels like clarity. There is no one outside the water deciding what the water temperature should be. Everybody is wet, everyone is certain that they see clearly, and the system runs itself. This is not a comforting thought, and it was never meant to be. Here's the line I need you to hold. You don't have opinions, you have exposures that calcified. Every belief you hold, every political conviction, every cultural assumption, everything that feels obvious and undeniably true was actually assembled from information that reaches you. Information that was selected by a system that had zero interest in making you accurate, only in making you engaged. You didn't form your views were formed by what you were actually shown. And here's the mechanism that closes the trap permanently. The more consistent your information environment, the more certain your beliefs feel, the more natural, the more obvious, the more like simply seeing the truth. Certainty is not the sign you've escaped the system. Certainty is the sign the system finished its work. And here is what that means for the person who's actually watching this video right now. The beliefs you would defend most passionately, the ones that feel the most obviously correct, are the ones that are actually worth examining, because the system doesn't strengthen doubt, it completely eliminates them. This is what separates this system from every other form of control in human history. Previous systems created compliance. This system creates preference. You open the app not because somebody told you to, because you want to. You scroll because it feels good. You react because it feels true. And the system records all of it and feeds it back and sends more of what you want. There is a word for the cycle. When a system learns what you respond to and delivers more of it, until your responses become indistinguishable from the system's design, that word is actually called conditioning. We don't usually use it to describe ourselves. But here is what it means structurally, and this is the part that should make you sit up. Every previous control system in history had a seam, a visible point where force met resistance, a moment where a person could say, I did not choose this. This system has no seam. You choose everything, every app you open, every scroll, every click, every share, all yours, all free. All of it training the system to know you better than you actually know yourself. The most efficient prison ever designed is the one where the prisoner holds the key and he genuinely, freely, enthusiastically wants to stay. Here's the part that you should consider before you term this whole content as philosophical, right? Governments noticed not all of them are actually using armies anymore. The most sophisticated influence operations today doesn't look like propaganda, they look like comment sections. posts that feel like genuine opinions, trends that feel like spontaneous cultures, movements that feel like they came from nowhere. All of it was actually engineered to make certain ideas feel like common sense and other ideas feel like something only dangerous people actually believe. But this isn't only governments. Anyone with money can now buy access to your attention. Corporations, political movements, foreign states, ideological networks. The infrastructure of mass belief formation is no longer owned by the states. It is actually available to rent by the hour at scale. The vote is still free. The information that built the voter is not. Now, I'm not going to tell you what you need to do with this, but I want to leave you with actually something that doesn't resolve that easily. The fish doesn't study water, not because water is invisible, because the fish has never been outside it. It has no reference point, no experience of not water to compare against. Your information environment is actually your water. You think inside it, you reason inside it. You decide who to trust, who to fear, who to vote for, what kind of a person you are from within it. The question isn't whether it shapes you. It does. It always has. That's not new. The question, the one worth sitting with tonight, is this: who controls the temperature and what do they need you to believe? Because here's the truth, ladies and gentlemen, the system that is designed is actually designed to prevent you from reaching. The system doesn't need to tell you what you need to think. It decides what reaches you, and once that's controlled, you are controlled and you are actually fully convinced, which is so much harder to escape because you can fight control, you can resist it, you can name it, you can build a movement against it, but you cannot fight a preference you believe is your own. And that right there is why the system doesn't need to change, doesn't need to hide, doesn't need to worry about videos like this one, because by tomorrow morning you'll open the app again and it will be waiting for you.